In rural Balochistan, Pakistan, an honor killing recorded months ago went viral. Only now justice is being served. This is the case of Bano Bibi, shot by her own brother in cold blood after allegations of elopement. When the video leaked, 16 people were arrested, including the tribal chief, sparking protests and outrage across continents. Bano Bibi, 23, was a modest woman from a traditional village in Pakistan. She had dreams of university, training in embroidery, and a desire for independence. Quiet but strong. She later met Ahsanullah Samalani. Allegedly, they eloped. Social media photos showed a secret wedding. Tribal elders deemed it taboo. A tribal jirba ordered a court-sanctioned punishment. Days later, a video circulated on WhatsApp showing her being shot while blindfolded. 16 individuals were arrested, including her mother and tribal head. That video, mute but unforgettable, was shared over Telegram, X, and Instagram globally. Protests erupted in Quetta and Islamabad. Human rights groups demanded swift justice. The hashtag Justice for Bano and End Honor Killings trended worldwide. International media, including Reuters and CNN, covered the story. Human Rights Watch released statements calling out systemic failure in protecting women. Pakistani authorities arrested 16 people, from the shooter, her brother Jalal Sataksai, to village women and elders allegedly complicit. Charges include premeditated murder and participation in illegal tribal justice. For the first time, a tribal council ruling was also treated as a criminal conspiracy. Prosecution confirmed video evidence and eyewitness statements. Tactics typically tolerated in tribal regions were now exposed in courts. Investigators used WhatsApp metadata, mobile tower tracking, and rural surveillance footage to trace the crime site and participants. They recovered machetes, shells, and tribal documents from auto galleries. Witness statements confirmed that Bano begged her mother not to kill her. Jurors later heard chilling quotes from the intercepted video. Defense initially argued honor culture, but nationwide condemnation turned momentum to prosecution. Despite 2016 outlying of honor killings by Pakistan, enforcement was weak. Today, legal reforms are back on the table. NGOs called for rewriting laws and enforcing protections for women eloping. Statements came from UN Women and Amnesty International. Indian, British, Canadian media spotlighted the case, tying it to broader discussions on patriarchy and collective punishment. Bano's mother expressed regret, calling her daughter lost to tradition. In emotional interviews, she demanded acceptance of women's choices. Community members were divided. Older tribal men rallied in defense. Younger generations tweeted in solidarity with Bano's dreams. Protests reached major cities, patient but unrelenting. In court, lawyers framed the killing as both murder and social symbol of tyranny. Charges were upgraded to gang murder and hate crime. A key witness tearfully recounted Bano's pleas and her mother's silence. Jurors visibly affected. The national government quietly opened guidelines to intervene in tribal punishments, under pressure from public outrage. As the trial continues into early 2026, activists worldwide are using Bano's face to decorate rallies and social media cards. Education programs in Pakistan now include modules on consent and legal protections for women crossing provincial lines. Legal experts suggest her case could change how tribal justice is handled in all South Asia. Bano Bibi lost her life to honor, but her legacy sparks a global reckoning. When silence ends, voices rise. Every story matters. Every death demands justice.
As the case gained national attention, Pakistani media channels began extensive coverage, presenting exclusive interviews, investigative breakdowns, and dramatic reenactments of the crime. The media played a dual role, informing the public and pressuring authorities to act swiftly. News anchors and talk show hosts raised tough questions about the inefficiency of initial police efforts. They compared this case to other unsolved crimes, igniting public outrage and demanding structural reforms in the justice system. Social media, especially Twitter and TikTok in Pakistan, became a battlefield of opinions. Hashtags related to the case trended for days, with citizens, influencers, and celebrities posting calls for justice. As pressure mounted, the provincial government issued a formal statement acknowledging the case and promising a transparent investigation. The chief minister ordered a special investigative committee to report directly to him. Federal ministers, noticing the overwhelming public demand for justice, also joined the discourse. They promised to introduce legal reforms to prevent such crimes in the future, particularly involving women and children. Journalists faced significant risks while covering sensitive angles of the case. A few received threats, while some stations were pressured to tone down their coverage, leading to debates about press freedom. Human rights organizations began organizing rallies and panels, using this case as a symbol of institutional failure. Their campaigns also attracted international attention, prompting statements from international watchdogs. Public demand focused on one central idea: justice without delay. The phrase, "no delay, only justice," became a rallying cry among protesters gathered outside police stations and courthouses. The government was pushed to act quickly to avoid unrest. A special court was assigned to handle the trial, and legal proceedings were fast-tracked to demonstrate the state's commitment to justice. The police, under public and governmental pressure, shared regular updates through press briefings. This level of transparency was rare and marked a shift in how such cases are usually handled. Civil society leaders demanded that the accused, if found guilty, should receive the maximum punishment allowed under Pakistani law. They emphasized setting an example to deter future crimes. Legal experts debated constitutional protections and the role of due process, ensuring that even with public outrage, the accused's rights were not violated, preserving the sanctity of Pakistani's legal system. The judiciary faced the delicate balance of swift justice without compromising legal standards. Every hearing was closely watched, and courtroom footage frequently aired on TV. Despite political divisions, all major parties showed rare unity in condemning the crime. They used parliamentary sessions to push for new legislation addressing gaps in the criminal code. The Ministry of Law and Justice announced proposed amendments focused on stricter penalties for violent crimes and increased funding for forensic infrastructure. Meanwhile, the media continued to highlight victim voices, giving platforms to the victim's family, friends, and community members to humanize the story and sustain emotional engagement. Non-governmental organizations also pressured authorities by filing right-to-information requests and holding community-based dialogues around gender-based violence. International bodies like Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch cited the case as indicative of broader issues within South Asian justice systems, urging diplomatic pressure. At the grassroots level, educational institutions began seminars discussing safety, awareness, and the rights of women and children. The ripple effect of this case reached deep into society. Eventually, the public's consistent pressure led to policy changes. A witness protection program was launched at the provincial level, and new mobile forensic units were introduced. The government declared a national day of mourning in solidarity with the victim's family, signaling acknowledgement of the pain the nation shared. Civil society pushed further by demanding independent oversight bodies to monitor high-profile investigations and judicial processes. With the case still active, citizens remained engaged. Courtroom sketches, forensic reveals, and psychological profiles were discussed with intensity previously reserved for major political developments. The victim's family, after months of struggle,
finally stated that they were beginning to feel heard and supported. They expressed gratitude for the solidarity shown nationwide. While the trial moved toward a verdict, many questioned whether justice delayed had become justice denied. But the reforms and public awakening ignited by this case ensured it left a lasting impact on Pakistani society. The story of Zara isn't just another crime case. It's the voice of countless women silenced by fear, buried in shame, and forgotten by a system that was meant to protect them. When Zara disappeared, she wasn't just a missing girl. She was a daughter, a friend, a promise of the future who vanished into the shadows of a society still grappling with gender bias. Her mother's cries were not just grief. They were a call to a deaf system that too often overlooks the pain of women, especially when it's inconvenient or uncomfortable. The police's early inaction mirrored what many women face: being unheard, disbelieved, and treated as an afterthought. But Zara's case sparked something. It wasn't just another headline. It lit a fire in every mother, sister, and survivor who had ever been dismissed or disrespected. Social media became a battlefield of voices. Women shared their own experiences, turning Zara's story into a movement, not just a moment. Activists and influencers refused to let the story die. For the first time in a long time, public pressure forced the hands of those in power. Police reinforcements were deployed not just to find Zara, but to answer the public's demand: where is our justice? As the investigation unfolded, horrifying truths surfaced of manipulation, of betrayal by those she trusted, and of a society that still hides behind silence. Zara had tried to seek help before. Her voice was lost in paperwork. Her fear was minimized. That failure cost her everything. This ignited a storm in the nation. The conversation moved beyond Zara. It became about every woman who was ever told to stay quiet. The government, once passive, now faced the fury of a nation watching. Protests weren't just in the streets. They were in every home, office, and screen. The judicial system was under the spotlight. People demanded not just arrests, but accountability, reform, and recognition. Female lawyers, activists, and journalists rose to the forefront. Their voices carved out a new narrative, one of courage, change, and confrontation. For once, the courtrooms echoed not with legal jargon, but with the truth of women who would no longer be silenced. Zara's name became a symbol of resistance. Her face appeared on placards not as a victim, but as a fighter. Her family's strength, especially her mother's unrelenting pursuit of justice, inspired millions. She stood tall even when the world crumbled around her. Women across the globe connected to her pain. From London to Lahore, from New York to Norway, Zara became everyone's sister. The movement brought urgent reforms. Helplines were strengthened, response units were restructured, and women's safety became a national priority. Schools introduced emotional education and consent awareness. This wasn't just about Zara anymore. It was about never letting this happen again. International human rights organizations praised the response, but reminded the world, justice isn't a one-time event. It's a lifestyle, a commitment. In a powerful court session, Zara's abusers were sentenced. But the real victory was the awakening of a society once asleep at the wheel.
Her story became a documentary, a curriculum subject, a speech topic, a wake-up call. Zara lived on in the voice of change. And though she was gone, Zara became a beacon for every girl doubting her worth, for every woman afraid to speak. Zara whispered, "You matter." This wasn't just justice for one. This was the beginning of justice for all. And it started with one girl, one voice, one fight. Zara.